everyone, welcome to Sway Theory. Other than that, let's begin. This is my first video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but let's begin. So I wanted to talk about my theory about what's happening within security breach. So I think that Vanessa is not really Vanessa. I think she's Elizabeth. And not only I think she's Elizabeth, I believe that Elizabeth, aka Baby, cloned Vanessa with Fazgoo and in return has possessed Vanessa. Well, the clone, in fact. That she is trying to transfer her soul into the clone of Vanessa. I know it sounds insane, but stay with me. In the books, we learned about Fazgoo, and Fazgoo is something that can be used to clone. So Five Nights at Freddy is not unique to cloning people. In addition to that, we find out in the last book, which is, I believe Scott Coffin has said that that's one of the most important books, or one of the most books that's tied in. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But we find out that since this is one of the books that's most important to even relating back to security breach, we find out that Baby is behind the Fazgoo. And because we find out that Baby is behind the Fazgoo, we're led to believe that maybe Baby is cloning people. I'll let the game theorist himself, MatPat, explain a little bit behind Fazgoo.
Explicitly is the latest story, He Told Me Everything, in which, and I'm gonna tell you what happens in the story, and you're not gonna believe me, but this is what happens in this story. A cult-like science club experiments using a substance called Fazgoo. The experiment involves the students pulling out one of their own teeth and feeding it to the goo, which then connects a gooey tendril to their finger. We eventually learn that the goo is draining the students' organs and bones in order to grow into a perfect clone of the original host. It is odd, and it really feels like it's pushing the limits of what can and can't exist in the FNAF universe. Now, could all of this just be recycling the same ideas for horror stories in a series that now has an enormous number of installments and is in constant need of new content? Absolutely. But it is the strongest recurring theme in the book series, and one that, when coupled with the Afton infection concept, seems like it could very well be the next logical step for the game. Think of it like prop hunt for FNAF. Who's real and who isn't? You don't know, you gotta figure it out. We've exhausted what one killer can do, so why not an army of killers? Besides, animatronics posing as real people is already something that Sister Location opened the door to, so if you have the ability to infect the masses, that's a new direction to take things, I guess. I'm just saying, we've had bad animatronics, looks like we'll have good animatronics. We've had people stuffed inside animatronics. We've had animatronics stuffed inside people. Now in the books, we're on a regular basis having animatronics turning into people. So why not an army of AIs inhabiting flesh-stolen suits? And if I'm right, and Baby is indeed filling the villain role for the series moving forward, seems like the sort of thing that she'd totally be into. Skin suits helped her escape Sister Location. She is literally able to be a body double for the protagonist Charlie in the original novel series. She's not a killer like her dad, she's a copier, a girl who's upset about dying young and losing her humanity early. So why not try to regain it back while creating an army of body snatchers to come along with ya?
As you see, he goes into great detail about what Fazgoo was and how it is possible that cloning can happen in this universe. Not only just cloning, but actual soul switching and soul possession from the Afton family. We already know Baby in the books has possessed children and as well as has cloned people. And we know that Baby is Elizabeth. So why wouldn't we not think that Vanessa, someone who looks exactly like Elizabeth, who in the tapes that we listened to, if I can find it, I'll put it in here, we found out that she has thought that her family was way worse than what it was.
Why don't we talk about the research I did in your past, shall we? Some therapists think they should only focus on information they get from their clients, but some therapists, like me, think it's helpful to find out about clients from other sources. Wanna guess what I found out when I looked into the tragedy of your past? All that stuff about your parents? You aren't even gonna look at me? Fine. You can look at the floor all you want. But it won't change the fact that none of what you said in your file about your parents was true. The truth is, you had great parents, a great childhood. Why did you lie? Look at me. Tell me why you lied.
Also, we find out that Vanessa, as the therapist mentioned, that Vanessa has no record of having a bad home. So the question is being, where did she get this information from? And it starts to resemble Elizabeth's past. It seems like that Elizabeth is possessing Vanessa, and maybe the Fazgoo is copying a good person and a bad person. And I'm gonna leave it to this YouTuber to explain how Fazgoo usually works once it clones someone.
View on this is that, much like in He Told Me Everything, Jack's body was duplicated by Fazgoo, while his real body was replaced by the goo. I didn't really mention this in He Told Me Everything, but it actually seems that Fazgoo makes identical clones of people with one small change. They're no longer bad people. We saw how quickly Jack changed from an incredibly horrible person to an incredibly good one. And the story explained that it was because of a near-death experience, but we know better.
This brings me to believe that Vanny may be the original Vanessa, and that the Vanessa that we see walking around the Pizzaplex is actually Baby, which will be very interesting to know. And it makes me think this because is that there's a good person and there's a bad person. When we see Vanessa walking through the Pizzaplex, she doesn't seem threatening, she doesn't seem bad, she just want to catch Gregory. When we see Vanny actually wishes Gregory harm and wants to get him for something. Which leads me to believe that there's two Vanessas, one good Vanessa, one bad Vanessa, and somehow they were cloned through Fazgoo. Also, some other evidence that leads me to believe that is Elizabeth possessing Vanessa and or possessing a clone of Vanessa is that the story that is told to the therapist resembles the childhood of Elizabeth. In addition to that, she calls her father Bill, but Bill is short for William Afton. So it leads me to believe that somehow, some way, Baby is trying to stop her father from corrupting the system and becoming stronger. At the same time, Vanny, which is Vanessa possessed by a glitch, is trying to stop her from doing so. Which leads me to think, which I didn't put the evidence in here, but maybe I put it in a different video. It was a part in there where Vanessa tells Gregory, "Oh, why do you have to do this tonight at all times?" Like she was trying to do something. Which is very interesting, because why would she feel upset to be interrupted? Vanny seems pretty happy to see Gregory, even asking if he wants to play. But Vanessa, when she catches Gregory, she's more annoyed. She's trying to get him to the police. She's trying to get him away from here. So which leads me to believe that this is deeper than what's going on. And that a story is being told and crafted and changed slightly so that Baby, aka Elizabeth, could stop her father once and for all, because she can't compartmentalize him any further. But I'm led to believe that it's my theory that I said before, because in the secret ending, we find out that Vanny dies. Gregory comes over, takes off the mask, and then what we notice is Vanessa, at the very end of the credits, is looking over the building in shock. So it leads me to believe that it's two Vanessas. One is cloned, and one is the original. That Afton himself, or Baby, is trying to recreate her family. And that brings me to think that also that Gregory is the crying child. Possession is nothing new that we have not seen in this franchise. So it's going to be shocking to learn that the creator of FNAF is now bringing the family back together. And that Freddy is Michael himself. And that's why he feels protective to look over Gregory, because he's possessed by Michael. Because we hint to this, because at one point we see that within the Pizzaplex, that someone is recreating the Afton family. Think about it. How would Vanessa find out who the Afton family is? to make a reconstruction of the family sitting down for dinner. And Afton himself is too broken up to even do anything about it. So who is recreating these images? Recreating the family dinner. Aha. Think about it. And that when we're listening to the tapes, which is in a secret room within Security Breach, that Vanessa is slowly being taken over by a glitch, but the glitch is not Afton, the glitch is Baby. So those are my theories with this. Let me know what you think about my theory in the comments below. I know it was a little off. I hope you liked it. I hope that you listened to it. This is part 1 of my theory. I'm going to get into in the future my evidence for Gregory being the crying child and more information about that, as well as some of my other theories that's swirling around in my head. But this is just part 1 of Security Breach theories. Other than that, this has been Sway Theory. Peace.